Hello there. I watch a lot of YouTube videos for woodworking, and I think one of the best channels, personally, I think is Bourbonmoth. If you have never seen the channel, I have linked it to the description. Strong recommendation to watch the guy out. Anyway, I built his whiskey table or whiskey cabinet, which I converted to be my TV stand. I'm sober, I don't need a whiskey cabinet. But I've always liked his designs, in addition that he has a very kind of funny spin on his videos. One thing I've been wanting to build for a long time is his outdoor patio chair. Looks to be fairly simple build. Usually I find lots of difficulties because I'm still very much a beginner, but I bought his plans and this video will be me seeing how this works out. I think in the original video he used cedar or something else that's not so well available in Finland. I bought something that we have available, elm. It grows in northern part of the world, Finland being pretty north. It is kind of native tree for us. The reason I chose elm is that it should be very durable outdoors, and as this will be outdoor chair. Let's see, I've never used it before, but I've done some pre-milling, so let's see. As mentioned, watch Bourbonmoth. He is also selling something called a bourbon blade. I bought this with my own money, he doesn't even know that I exist. It's actually a fairly nice tool, so I like to support the channels I watch, so let's see. I actually started building this almost exactly a year ago. I was still in my old workshop, I still had my old planer and my old jointer. Then life happened, I got some other projects, some other things to do. And this has been just waiting for me to continue for, as mentioned, almost a year. And now in my new workshop, I finally had time to finish the project, so I continued with the milling on my new machinery and my new workshop. But I have to say, I really love the new planer that I have, even though it's from the 80s. But it's new for me, I got a great deal for it, so I just had to buy it. Even though it's a bit of an overkill, I'm still a hobbyist, very much a beginner woodworker, but having this 80 centimeter capacity with it just makes me happy. The design for these chairs is fairly simple because every single board is the same width except the slats, but that made the milling process fairly easy because I could just mill everything in the same dimensions. But as it is me building, I did have some issues which you will see later on the video. One challenge for me was figuring out the angles, how to cut everything, because I don't have an angle finder or angle gauge. I have ordered one now, but when I was building this I didn't have it. So getting these angles to align took way longer from me than it should have taken, but then again, I haven't done this kind of build before, so there's first time for everything. When it comes to figuring out how long I wanted the seat to be, I started using my soon to be patented ass measuring technique. So I just took the measurement from this table to get a rough idea how long the chair should be. So what I'm lacking in tools, sometimes I figure out a simple way just to get a rough measurement. This worked, it was fine. I mean, it didn't need to be exact, I just wanted to get the rough idea how it should be. With the exception of having a bit of a challenge on making the angles correct, everything up until now has been super simple, so it's just been basic milling and cutting them to length. But now started the time to do the first actual joinery, and the way Bourbonmoth designed this joinery to be done is with a half lap, which is a good joint in this case because it will be super strong, it will never ever fail. And I decided to use my dado blade for it because it just makes it a lot easier and faster to cut. This face obviously requires some precision because I did want the half flaps to be as tight as possible. So I made the measurements, I did some markings on the boards, and I cut very close to my line, and then I started fitting it. So I took like a hair off, tried it, took hair off, tried it again, until I nailed the fit to be pretty much perfect. So these are the parts that are on the section where you basically sit on. The next half flap that I cut was for the back support piece, and that cut was much easier because I didn't need to be that precise there, because I could just do the half flap all the way to the end of the board and then cut the excess off. So I was following Bourbonmoth video very closely. I was actually using the video more than I was using the plans I bought from him. The glue I chose to use is thickened epoxy because this will be outdoors. Finland has pretty severe winters and sometimes very warm summers as well, 4 very different seasons. So I think these will be going through some harsh conditions, and I just somehow believe that epoxy will hold better outside than normal wood glue would. On the next day, when the glue had dried, I then used my bandsaw to cut the excess off, or most of the excess off. I tried to cut as close as possible without touching the actual board, because sometimes I've made the mistake on leaving too much material, and then when you go to the router table, bad things can happen. So nowadays I try to cut like as close as I can, leaving like 1 millimeter or something. When done like this, then it is very easy to just use your router table, and I think it's called a flush trim bit, not really sure with the English names. But anyway, the bit you see me using here to get the rest of the excess off and have the board completely ready for the next phase. To make the glue up easier, I decided to use a few dominoes here and there just to get the alignment done in an easier way, because none of these angles are in 90 degrees. Clamping them up can be a bit of a challenge, and this should have been an easy thing to do, but I did make a pretty bad mistake. So, because I'm an idiot, I didn't think. I cut one of the dominoes from the wrong side, and you see here it's on a part that's actually visible in the end product. So this one I needed to fix. So it's a good opportunity once more for me to learn how to patch things, make my mistakes disappear. And on this one I'm fairly happy with how I managed to fix it. So I just found somewhat similar piece of elm, and I drew the rough shape of a domino, and I basically just hand sanded the piece to fit to the domino hole. And I have to say, even though the grain doesn't match perfectly, but still this is probably the best patch I've ever made. So of course professionals can do it much better and they know how to match the grain and everything. But I'm very happy how it turned out, so crisis averted once more. Now, even though these chairs are super simple by design, that's probably one of the reasons why I wanted to build them to myself. Because there was one thing that really caught my eye when I saw the video by Bourbonmoth. And it was the small thing that he decided to do for the glue lines or the seams, where he added what he calls a shadow line. And I really wanted to do that to my chairs as well. and I decided to use my router with a very small round over bit, and I rounded over every single piece that I had, and you will see it in the end result how the shadow line will look like, and I'm very happy with that design choice. Obviously it's not mine, but I'm still happy that I replicated it from Bourbonmoth design. For gluing these, I am using the same thickened epoxy than before, and in hindsight I should have used more dominoes. It would have made the glue up easier. I was struggling with it a bit, but by using more and more clamps and just aligning everything manually, I managed to do it, but it would have been better to follow the way he did it by using more dominoes. One thing I was super happy with myself is the way all the 4 pieces were exactly the same. I've been struggling before when I make 2 or 4 or 6 or 8 kind of same pieces that sometimes there are some misalignments, but in this case I nailed it pretty much to perfection, at least to my level, so I was super happy that things worked out as they should for once. But of course some issues remain, so when I started sanding them I did see that even though I tried to be careful with the glue, some of it did make it through to the shadow line and it didn't really look nice, so I just had to clear it, and I was using sandpaper and chisels and all kinds of tools to clean them up. I guess if I would have been more careful and just used the glue on the other side of the board, I wouldn't have had to fix this one, but then again I'm that kind of builder who always uses way too much glue because I just want to be sure that things will stay glued, especially as this is an outdoor furniture. Then as the frames were pretty much done, it was time to start cutting the slats. And here I deviated a lot from the way how Bourbonmoth made it, so if you want to see how he did it, I have linked the video to the description, you can see the original. And he decided to use a lot of dominoes on the slats, and I initially thought of going through the same route, but then I just felt like it would have been way too much effort to do it. So I added these support blocks on the chairs on which I attached the slats. The end result is not as clean as his version, but I think I probably kept my sanity by doing it this way. No need to explain what I'm doing here. Using the same epoxy again, and as mentioned attaching the slats to these support blocks that I did, so there's some footage of me trying to do my best with the glue up. How many clamps does it take to glue a few chairs? I can't even count. I used almost everything I got. So maybe the way he did it with dominoes would have been easier, but it is what it is. I managed to get it done. Then the next day I needed to figure out how I want the last slat to be, and I just cut it to follow the edges of the chair, so I wasn't really sure if I wanted to make them shorter or not, but then I decided to keep them as they are and just add the final slat. So finally all the construction is done. Obviously I needed to sand, and I usually just keep like 10 seconds of sanding footage. I have no idea how outdoor furniture should be sanded. I just went to 120. I usually go higher, but I figured it's outdoors, it will probably not be very good anyway over the years. And then I decided to add these small pins or legs, whatever, just to lift the chair a bit, because again it will be outside, so this way it won't be in water when it's raining. And then we get to the finishing part. And as these will be outdoor chairs, I went to the boat section in my local DIY store and I bought teak oil that's meant for boats. My logic is that if that is fit for boats that are on the water all the time, they should be fairly good on these chairs as well. So I've never used teak oil before, but then again it's applied pretty much the same way than any other oil. So I added 2 coats. I don't know if I should have done more or not, but 2 it is for now. If I need to add more, then I will. Then I waited about 30 minutes and wiped all the excess off, and then I was done. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and as mentioned, I do recommend you watching the original by Bourbonmoth. Thanks for watching, and until next time.